The cult, from my research, is called Children of God. The
Yep.
cult, right? And you mentioned it there as one of the beliefs was like the world's going to end within a few years as well. So imagine that you're kind of living in this fear, I imagine, if that's kind of...
Well, it wasn't. This is what the
Yeah.
assumption is
Yeah.
that we're living in constant fear. But we were considered or grew up thinking we were the chosen generation. We were special. Our job was to save people and to get rewards in the afterlife. So it wasn't a constant like, oh my God, the world's going to end. It was like, we've been chosen, and this path has been set before us, and it's actually quite special. And so we weren't living in fear, but it was only much, much, much later when I realized that myself and others from my generation could never plan anything beyond 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Like to do a degree or to do something that was like investing in your future.
Okay, yeah.
It was almost like there was a chip missing that we couldn't
Yeah.
actually plan that far ahead because life was always in the immediate. So we
Yeah.
had to unlearn things kind of as time went on.
So encourages kind of short-term thinking mindset.
Such short-term thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also making whatever your beliefs were, aligning them with the bigger group, and any
Yeah.
kind of what they would refer to as doubts or things that kind of didn't align with that path,
Yeah.
to squash them down, get rid of them, because
Yeah.
people who had a voice were made an example of
Yeah.
in different ways, punishment, different things. And so that was the fear bit, that if you
Okay.
don't believe the way everyone does, how are you going to survive? Not only would you be kind of separated from your group, which is how we survive,
Yeah.
but God would punish you. And there would be
Yeah.
anything bad that happened in your life after kind of was your fault. And you would be punished for it. So that it was psychological more than
Yeah.
physical sometimes.
So you mentioned the thing around they thought the world was going to end, or they taught you that the world was going to end in 3 years. What were some of the other like overarching beliefs of the cult?
So they believed in free love. They believed that, so starting out in those hippie days is how many
Yeah.
cults kind of started out. They believed that, we were one family. So kids, were a blessing, but they belonged to everybody. So that sounds great. Like honestly,
Yeah.
these days, if I say I was raised in a commune, people genuinely lean in and they go, oh, tell me more. Like,
Yeah.
we're so desperate for connection. Then
Yeah.
people are curious. And if I say I was raised in a cult, people are like, ooh, they sort of back off. But both of those things were true. Both of those things were true. So there is this great thing about being in a community, but also over time, lots of single parents, lots of kids from different fathers, lots of maybe confusion later on about, well, who is my guide or who is my safe
Yeah.
person? Who is the person I go to that's, in psychological terms, my secure base, so
Yeah.
that I can feel a sense of self, go out into the world, come back for that security.
Yeah.
And then for many kids, as they became teenagers and maybe decided other paths, many kids got kind of disowned by parents or had to go fend for themselves without having an education or backup. So this is where kind of the messy ripple effect
Yeah.
started.